Today, we're going to continue with part 2 of the 2026 First-Time Homebuyer Essential Checklist. Let's go.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is happening, How to Buy a Homies? I'm David Sidoni, and today I need to start the show with some kind of a bummer news. But as always, I've got the positive spin and solutions so this bummer doesn't totally bum you out. It's not often I say this because in this particular situation, the bummer is I was right. Yes, I was correct. The government and this administration is not going to bail you out with housing affordability. Now, I talked about this in length in episode 444. That's where I broke down the February 2026 buyer's market, the winter window of opportunity. And that's also where I mentioned that Trump's speech that he gave on housing affordability, it sort of turned out like we thought. Here at the end of January, now that he's back in the U.S., he had a cabinet meeting, and he insisted that he was going to keep home prices high. And he actually appeared to denigrate you first-time homebuyers as not being deserving of the American dream. During the meeting, Trump addressed the question of affordable home ownership, and he declared, quote, "We're not going to destroy the value of homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people who own their homes, and they can be assured that's what's going to happen," unquote. And then to further illustrate how political he's making this thing, he pandered to the 75% of the voter roll that are homeowners. He said, quote, and he further illustrated how political he was making this thing by pandering to the 75% of the voter roll that are homeowners. He said, quote, "You know, a lot of people have become wealthy in the last year because their house value has gone up," unquote. Hey, did you hear that? He said, a lot of people became wealthy in this last year. That, gang, is total BS and a pandering for his time in office because the facts are the facts. Home prices increased 10.8% in 2020, 17.5% in 21, 8.4% in 2022, and then 6.5% in 2023, 4.5% in 2024. And then in the year he took office, 2025, they only increased 2.2%. And that was the first time in 12 years that we actually saw home prices drop in some parts of the country. Those are the facts. One party is trying to take credit for a surge in pricing that happened during the other party's administration. So the lesson here is this party can continue to spew their nonsense about what they're doing to make housing affordable again. You know, they've got their big, we're going to stop those investors buying homes. It's like 2 or 3% of purchases, and it's not going to do anything. And of course, they're talking about pumping money into the housing system, $200 billion, which might move interest rates 0.3%, as I told you guys. But when they really come down to it, they've made it very clear who they're going to protect, who they're going to help with any new policies. I'm not talking opinions. I'm just giving facts. This is not political for me. This isn't red or blue. That is not my mission. So that you, during your research, dig deep into the actual, real, affordable solutions, you know, the kind of stuff that I've been teaching here since 2019. There is no magic solution coming from the government. There never is, and there never was. All right, that's enough of that. I won't sugarcoat anything here. So when you get the news from me, we're just going to give you the facts and real solutions. Moving on to the essential checklist. But first, before that, it went over so well last time, we're going to do another listener question. This one came to us on March 27th of 2025. Question was, do you ever recommend going to a financial advisor to figure out how much is realistic to spend on a house? Okay, this one's interesting. This is going to sound counter-logical, but bear with me because I've seen this for 20 years. There's a saying in real estate that the best way to kill a first-time homebuyer deal is when the dad shows up at the home inspection. On the financial side of things, we have another group of deal killers worse than overzealous dads. They kill people's dreams, they keep them stuck in the rent trap, and they're basically giving outdated advice with no clue on what the regular renter is going through in today's economy. They are tax advisors and financial advisors. They are another kiss of death. Now, the majority of these old school advisors, they never factor in what today's first-time homebuyers are going through with the high rents, and they refuse to look at the full math of a rent replacement strategy. So you can get ahead and not be behind in the current economic market. But I've got good news for you. I actually found some people out there that get it. Check out episodes 367 and 368. That's where you get to hear what you should be hearing from a financial advisor and a tax professional. And if you want more on the tax stuff, we go deeper into that in episode 370 as well. We'll make sure to put those in the show notes for you. So I answered this question for this guy, and I sent them to the right people to get the right financial advice. And he got that from his unicorn realtor and unicorn lender. And then just 3 months later, in July of 2025, he bought a $730,000 home in Massachusetts and is quite comfortable with the payment and was very stoked to get the full options that they could do to make this home affordable. And they got that from the first-time homebuyer lender consultant advisor, showing them how they could acquire an appreciating asset with a payment that made sense with their rent replacement strategy. Great question and an even better solution for the buyer. And if you've got a question you want answered, just go to howtobuyahome.com and hit Ask David. I personally answer every question that comes in. No robots over here. Okay, now let's jump into part 2 of the 2026 Essential Checklist for First-Time Homebuyers. Now, part 1, we talked a lot about the planning and the pre-planning. Today, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to serve you the dessert first and jump into the fun stuff. I'm going to give you the checklist for home shopping. I know you can do this. I know that with the right team and the right planning, you can do this. So I'm going to give you a little dopamine rush today. This is the things you do after you've hired your team and you've done all the pre-planning and the planning so you can get your best options as a home buyer. Let's talk about home shopping and researching neighborhoods. Okay, first pro tip. Anyone can grab an adult beverage, lay in bed, and scroll through Zillow. But to be a true home sleuth, here are some tips to level up your online shopping game. Now, I go into great detail in this in episode 408, but here's some of the highlights. Number 1, become a Google Maps master. You can use the satellite view to sneak a peek into backyards in the neighborhood. You can see if there are oases or junkyards. And then you can use the street view to virtually walk through the neighborhood. You can walk right down the middle of the street and you can see what kind of cars are parked on the street, how many of them are there out there. Then you can spin the angle to look at people's front yard maintenance, their fences, their patios, their curb appeal, and how the rest of the block maintains their homes. Another great tip is if you are sleuthing a particular neighborhood or community, trying to figure out what's cool that you can walk to, you can go to WalkScore.com. That is an excellent tool. It gives you an actual score on walkability so you can find nearby places that each community has to offer that fit into your lifestyle. The things you want, not just from a new home, but from your new neighborhood. The next tip is when you get off your computer and you go IRL, drive neighborhoods. Add some exploring time to your commutes to work or running errands. Check out potential neighborhoods. And if you got some time on the weekend, just drive around the places you're thinking about buying. And don't just look at the homes. Look at everything. Look at the restaurants, the stores, the parks, the movie theaters, the entertainment, trails, and all the neighborhood amenities. And then do yourself a favor. Get yourself into the community. Dine there. Run errands there. Go to the bank. Do some grocery shopping. And find out what's happening in your potential neighborhood. Spend a day or a night doing all the normal stuff you do in your own neighborhood. Another great thing to do is to drive directly to the neighborhood you're thinking about in the morning before you go to work, and then drive from there to work. Check the commute times. And always make sure you check to drive during rush hours. Make sure you check the neighborhoods during school drop-off times. That's a big one. And be sure that you drive the neighborhoods you're looking at in the evenings. We always go and look at houses in the day. You really want to drive the neighborhoods at night to look for all kinds of things. What's going on in the neighborhood? What's the parking like? Because a lot of times parking can change drastically after 6 p.m. And you, of course, want to drive by on a Friday and Saturday night just to make sure you're not moving into some crazy neighborhood. The next tip is about safety, the crime and the safety of an area that you're looking at. There are websites that have crime maps. You'll also find stuff like that on your police websites as well as the sheriff's. And you can also look at public record searches. And then here's my tip. Make a color-coded map to overlay and assess the areas So you can get a lot more information than you get just looking at pictures of houses and the insides of what the homes look like. Yeah, a color-coded map, old school. You heard me. About 18 years ago, I had a client. I don't know if she went to a gas station because that's where I used to buy maps, or she went online, but she got an OG paper map, the kind you unfold, it can never fold back together. And then she also bought a box of crayons. And when she was looking at neighborhoods, she'd get an address. As she would check out the home, she would figure out if this is a red, yellow, or green. And then she would get home and she would color in the neighborhoods, red for dangerous, yellow for maybe, and green for good. Then the next time an address pops up, you can open up your foldable map and look and see what color that house sits in. Next tip is about school ratings. And this is something you should look at even if you don't have kids or you're not thinking about having kids, because strong school districts often mean higher resale value. Maybe you look to buy in a crappy school district because you can get a better home for less of a price. But if you're someone where school district is going to matter, here's a big important tip about this. Verify the school district with the exact address for the home that you're looking at. Do not trust the seller or the listing agent. This is your responsibility as a buyer to verify. Next tip is to research what's happening with communities online. Check the local zoning maps and the identified planned developments. A lot of that comes on the city planning websites, and find out if that town is set to be up and coming, or perhaps they're thinking about making a whole bunch of strip malls and parking lots. You can also look up specific noise ordinances and restrictions in the area you're looking at so that you don't find any surprises once you move in. Also, another great tip is to check the flood zones. You can check that at the FEMA Flood Map Service Center. And then at some point, after you've done all this research, you're going to get the itch to pop into a few homes. You know, maybe just stop by a few open houses, or, ooh, there's those new construction homes. Let's go look at those. Now, I have some very, very crucial tips for looking at homes. When you enter either one, an open house or a new construction home site, you are being looked at as a giant pile of money. So you got to know that going in. Protect yourself. As a first-time home buyer, you have the right to hire your own representation for any kind of purchase. And more importantly, that representation, they're there to protect you as well as be a strong advocate for you for your best home purchase. I hear way too many first-time home buyers say they don't want to waste a realtor's time, air quotes included. So they just go out and they do looky-loo shopping on their own. I totally understand your feeling of not wanting to waste your realtor's time. And the sad part is, you wouldn't be wasting their time because 86% of realtors would be wasting your time. These are brand new stats that came out from the National Association of Realtors. In 2025, 71.1% of the 1.3 million U.S. realtors did not sell one home. 71% sold 0 homes in 2025, and 14.9% sold less than 4 the entire year. That means you have an 86% chance of connecting with a realtor that is wasting your time, not the other way around. So before you're even thinking about doing any looky-loo shopping, just know the right people, the right 14%, you're not wasting their time. Hire the right team early. This is so important. Like, number one, primo muy importante, absolute tip-top piece of advice that will change your outcome as a buyer and will get you incredible amounts of leverage. And homies, when I tell you I can't emphasize this enough, I mean it. I am at it. And homies, when I tell you I can't emphasize this enough, I truly mean it. I'm speaking to you in all caps now. Finding a team that will work with you early on your strategy, even when you are in looky-loo mode, is the one thing I have been telling first-time homebuyers for 20 years. Find a team who won't waste your time due to inexperience, and a team that won't make you feel like you're wasting their time, even though you're a year out. Okay, I've hit the caps lock and turned off my all caps rant. Because here's the deal, I have a lot to go over in this checklist, but if you want to hear more about this, which is, I'm telling you, the single most important thing that first-time homebuyers need to know, go back and listen to episode 402 or listen to it for the first time. It's the 10-episode series on where every first-time homebuyer needs to start. So let me give you some quick overall coaching on this whole looky-loo shopping thing. When you go into an open house unattended, that realtor is going to pounce on you like a lion in the savannah. Open houses are designed for the realtor to capture more clients, much more than they are designed to show and sell the home. Don't be fooled by it. You're walking in like that bag of money, so be ready. I recommend that you align with your realtor advocate first, and then you get a pile of their business cards. And if you want to go look at open houses on your own, knock yourself out. You drop that business card in front of that realtor, and it's like kryptonite, and that hosting agent will back away from you. And when it comes to new construction, this is another ginormous tip. Never, ever sign the guest book or sign in when you go into a new construction location. Same thing with online. Never give them your information. It seems silly, but those sign-ins, that can cost you so much money because the fine print in all the new construction websites and on-site, it says that if you simply sign in, just a name in the guest book when you visit the model homes or you sign up online, you forfeit your right to have an advocate that represents you in any future purchase. You have to use the builder's real estate agent. Yeah, this is real. It's totally sneaky. And of course it makes sense because they only care about one thing, profits. Just by giving them your name, you're locked in. And you have to use the real estate agent who is paid by them and paid to maximize the profits of the home builder. And again, like I said, it's the same BS on the websites too. So before you even think of visiting a new home in person or online, listen to episode 392. I tell you this for your own protection. And another tip about new builds, when you see that billboard that says new home starting at $400,000, you ain't paying $400,000. This is a major bait and switch. You're going to pay closer to $500,000 if you want a even slightly decent home. You know, one with appliances, decent fixtures, and grass. Yeah, that $400,000 home they're advertising is bare bones with the cheapest appliances ever. Lucky to even get any fixtures. And if you do get them, they're going to be the cheapest ever. And both your yards, all dirt. So I know we're talking about home shopping and I'm kind of jumping back to pre-planning a little bit, but this is the best way to protect yourself. Hire your realtor before you do any research on new construction homes. You're going to want an advocate whose only concern is what's best for you. Could be that home. It could be someplace else. Check the show for the full episode on new construction homes. I told you about that. I think it was 392. It'll be in the show notes. And when you do actually get to looking at a few homes, here's a great tip for you. Back to the fun stuff. Okay, you're in the car, you're out to look at homes, bundle all those viewings to be geographically efficient. Your brain turns to mush when you start looking at a bunch of homes. So try to schedule multiple home showings in one day in one tight little area and bring snacks and water so that when you're comparing options, you have a fresh mind. You don't want to make big, giant life decisions when you're dehydrated or hangry, and help keep things straight so that, you know, when you're seeing like 5, 6, or 7 homes and everything starts to meld together and they all kind of look and feel like the same thing. This is what you do. After every home that you see, stop at the sidewalk and rank the homes in top 3. And then after you go to your 4th home, re-rank them. Don't think about it again if a home is number 4. Just keep re-ranking all day so all you have is 1, 2, and 3. That way you can just focus your brain on those top 3 homes and you'll be able to compare them in a better way. I always encourage buyers when they're looking at homes to keep notes. And if it's permitted, take personal photos, something specific in the home, not the stuff that you see online in the listing, but something specific that will remind you of what that home was. I have some clients that what they do is they go in, they take a picture of the number, you know, the address on the way in, and then they shoot a few random photos of something interesting, you know, a koi pond or, you know, like a random hallway. And they go, oh yeah, I remember that home. Your next tip. This one, if you've got the time and you can do it, I really recommend this. Tour homes midweek. You avoid the swarms of people coming in, the open houses on the weekends. Not to mention, if you get to a home on a Wednesday or Thursday that's just listed on the market and you've been looking for a long time and you and your real estate team have narrowed things down, well, now you get an opportunity to write an offer and get in there before most of the regular 9-to-5ers can see the home on the weekend. You might be able to snag that home before there's any other competition. And here's another protective tip when you're looking at homes. Be careful what you say. Be mindful of surveillance. Yeah, security cams, ring cameras, nanny cams stuck in some teddy bear somewhere. Be careful. What you want to do is watch your negative comments. I've had this happen before where people have walked in, they go in the first room and they hate it. And so they start to talk about how much they hate it. Then they see the rest of the house and it's everything they ever wanted. And all they have to do is do a little remodeling in the first room. But they had their kitchen security camera on. And the sellers heard what the negative things that the buyer was saying, and it kind of made a very difficult negotiation happen after that point. So the rule about talking inside a home is no negative talk. All the real talk happens after you leave the home and you're all the way to the sidewalk. This next tip is a random one that you might not have thought of. World is changing a little bit. I know a lot of you out there are remote workers now. And if your job depends on fast and reliable internet, right now where you are, your landlord, they may be a pain in the ass, but maybe they have smoking Wi-Fi through some deal for their building. So make sure that you confirm your cable and internet services and all the availability with the local providers for the addresses that you're looking at before you write the offer if this is important to you. If this is going to be how you make your living, this is something you got to check out first. Okay, this next pro tip comes with a how to buy a home caveat. This tip is only to be used under the guidance of a professional. Do not attempt this on your own or without years and years of looking at homes online, or you will end up walking into homes that are truly horror story, scary dumps. But with the right support, if there's a home with crappy photos or it's poorly staged, or you're like, what the hell's wrong with this house? With the right support, you might consider taking a look at that home. Because if you know what to look for in those photos, sometimes you can discover that not every terribly photographed home is a money pit or a giant fixer-upper or a hellhole. Remember, 86% of the realtors out there are praying to list anything to try to make one sale this year because they sold 4 or less, most of them selling 0. And you know what? Their sister might decide to sell their home. And so they list it, but you know what? They haven't made any money, so they cannot afford a decent photographer. So work with your unicorn to learn how to sniff out the hidden values in the photos that look like an 8-year-old took them. Next tip, keep an eye out when you're shopping for homes for back on the market listings. A lot of times these happened, well, actually most of the time these happen because the buyer's financing fell through. Last time I checked, I think it was like 80% of canceled deals happened because the buyer's loan didn't get final approval. Like I said, gang, do your pre-planning. But unfortunately, the stigma is everybody thinks that the buyer went in, had an inspection, and it turned into a horror show. That's not true. It's only 20% of them that are property issues. So when a home is listed as back on the market, those sellers might be desperate. And you want to jump on it quick because they were so excited to sell their home and they have plans that might be set in motion. Next tip. Right now is a really weird time. Half of the country is a hot market. Half of the country is a little slower and you can get better deals. If you're in one of those hot markets, be ready to submit an offer as soon as you walk out the door after you view the home. Get your digital contract game on point. Know how to point, click, and sign. Okay, this next tip that I'm going to give you is to dispute what I've seen a few realtors online recommend to their clients. They're like, hey, make sure you bring a measuring tape to your showing. Someone told them that that was a good idea, like to make sure that you measure so that the furniture fits in the home. They think like that's going to incentivize the clients to want to buy it. Okay, here's my advice. No. Do not do that. Do not buy a home to fit anything in there that costs under $10,000. It's just simple math. This home is hundreds of thousands of dollars. If your couch doesn't fit there, get a new damn couch. Or more importantly, don't let the couch be the decision maker. When you're looking at a home, you're not looking just at the size of the bedrooms. You're looking at so many different things. The neighborhood, the lot itself, the yard, the school district, the safety. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on. Please don't bail on the perfect house just because the one piece of furniture that you're all stoked about might not fit in it. Get the deal in the home. and all that it offers and the hundreds of thousands of value you get out of that, and then add your essentials into the home later. It's a really important shift for you. I understand the old renter mentality when you're looking for a new place to lease, but this is different. This is an investment in your life. And here's another warning for you. I hear realtors and or a lot of moms and dads or aunts and uncles, they tell first-time home buyers, hey, I got a secret for you. When you go look at homes, always find the neighbors. Talk to them. That's where you get the real scoop on the neighborhood. All right, how to buy a homies. Here's a truth bomb for you. After 20 years of work with first-time home buyers, the neighbors, their opinions of the neighborhood, they fall into this ratio. 25%, 25%, and 50%. 25% of the time, they might have some accurate, really useful information. 25% of the time, they confirm what we already know. And the other 50% of the time, they are dead wrong. So when you listen to the neighbors, make sure you take it with a grain of salt. Next up, when you're trying to figure out the actual value on the price of the home, remember this: list prices are garbage. The asking or the list price of a home, it is not in any way, shape, or form what a home is truly worth. It's not what it's going to sell for either. And they can be way below or way above the actual correct value. To get the real value of a home or homes in a certain neighborhood, best way to do it is to use the recent sold comparable prices. Don't look at the list prices. Next pro tip. One of the crucial pieces of information you're going to want to get from your real estate team who's active and involved in all those neighborhoods is, how are homes selling right now? Are they selling super fast, gone in a weekend? Are they slow, staying on the market for a couple weeks? Are the sellers giving credits back to the buyer? And so many different things. Market conditions are a huge part of buying a home. Now, I give market updates here at least a couple of times a month, and they're big and they're national. And if you want that information, you can check the show notes for recent episodes to help you understand what kind of housing market is happening nationally in 2026. Right now, as I record this, like I told you, half the country's in a strong buyer's market with more inventory than there are home buyers, and the other half, it's still a seller's market. But here's the thing. I can give you all that information on the national market as I can find, but real estate is local. So once again, grabbing that local expert first-time homebuyer real estate team, they're going to help you stay on top of what's happening in your area. I've been talking to unicorns all over the country. There are some crazy buyer deals going on in Florida right now. I mean, that is a buyer's market extraordinaire, as well as major cities in Texas. I'm not talking about the outskirts. I'm talking about Austin and Dallas and Houston. And the Midwest seems to be another place where things are happening. But there are other cities where we're still seeing it in either even market or a seller's market. But again, that's me just giving you national news. Get your local team to get information on the areas you're specifically looking at. And you don't have to figure this out on your own. Go back to the 10 steps, starts at episode 400. That's where you can learn how to pick your team, and they can fill you in on what's happening locally on bidding wars, or if it's a buyer's market where you're getting seller credits and maybe even some price reductions. And the last tip for home shopping, it's a mentality shift. See, far too often I see first-time homebuyers think that the realtor's main job is to find you the home that you describe to them. This is old school thinking. Today, it's kind of a controversial statement, but finding the home for you, that's the least important part of a realtor's job. Now, that might sound controversial to you, but those of us in the industry, we know that's the reality. Because in 2026, the best results come when a realtor and a buyer are working together as a partnership, using all the tools at their disposal to hunt and find homes and neighborhoods together. Now, of course, your realtor's going to have more options for you. They're going to have more expertise. But to maximize that home search, working together, that's how you get it done. You don't hire a realtor to find you a home that nobody knows about. Those don't exist. Any seller would be an idiot to do that right now. Because you're going to sell your home, you put it on the internet so as many people as possible could see it to drive the price up. So work with your realtor. Now, your realtors might be able to tell you about stuff that's coming up that's not on the market yet because they have some inside information. That's very helpful. But in general, you want to work together in the home shopping process because you are mostly hiring them for getting you the home once you find it. You're hiring them for their ability to negotiate on your behalf to secure your dream home and then protect you in the purchase from all the complexities that go on when you're trying to buy something for hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right, that's it for today. More of the Essential Checklist coming in part 3 in the next episode. So subscribe here so you make sure you get that as soon as it comes out. And please, if you have a moment, help us out with a written review. It helps us get the word out so that more people can get this information. Check the show notes for more details on the topics I talked about. But don't wait to start your plan. You can go to howtobuyahome.com, ask me your question, or ask for a unicorn team and get started. Keep researching, make a plan, and stay curious. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyahome.com to get started.